in a world drowning in its own tears, where cities were just graveyards of ambition and the sky was a permanent shade of grey, people prayed. They prayed for a miracle, for a flicker of light in an endless night. Chaos was the air they breathed, and despair was the water they drank. Every sunrise brought with it only a new version of yesterday's sorrow. Fires raged unchecked. Whispers of hope were silenced before they could become words, and humanity seemed to be writing its final, tragic chapter. The world wasn't just broken. It was shattered into a million pieces, each one reflecting a unique kind of pain. Everyone was looking for a hero, someone to stand against the tide of darkness. And then one appeared. A figure born from the ashes of the old world, a promise of a new dawn. Their first acts were small, almost insignificant against the vastness of the world's suffering. They'd pull a child from a collapsing building, share their last piece of bread with a starving family, or simply stand firm against the encroaching shadows when everyone else had fled. But these small acts created ripples. Hope, once a forgotten myth, began to stir in the hearts of the weary. This hero's strength wasn't just in their fists, but in their unwavering resolve. They were the answer to a million desperate prayers, the embodiment of courage in a world that had forgotten the meaning of the word. They began their journey, a lone warrior against an ocean of despair. As they fought, their power grew. With every victory against the forces of darkness, they became stronger, faster, a true living legend. The world watched in awe, placing all of its hopes and dreams upon their shoulders. They became a symbol, a beacon. But a beacon casts a long shadow. The weight of an entire world is a heavy burden to bear. The endless battles, the constant sacrifices, the faces of those they couldn't save it, all started to take a toll. A subtle shift began. The confident smile became a tight-lipped grimace. The hand that once offered comfort now clenched into a fist a little too readily. The lines between justice and vengeance started to blur. They were winning the war, but seemed to be losing a piece of themselves with every victory. The world celebrated their power, blind to the corrosion it was causing within. The breaking point came on a day like any other, a day filled with smoke and screams. Faced with an impossible choice, a choice between a devastating loss and a monstrous act, they didn't hesitate. They chose power. They crossed a line from which there was no return. In that single, irrevocable moment, the hero died. The transformation was terrifying and absolute. The light in their eyes was extinguished, replaced by an infernal glow. The strength that had once been a source of comfort now became a source of terror. The world watched in horror as their savior, their champion, shed their humanity like a worn-out coat. The very thing they had sworn to destroy, they had now become. The hero was gone, and in their place stood a devil of their own making, forged in the fires of good intentions. The old darkness was defeated, but a new, more profound shadow fell across the land. This wasn't the mindless chaos of before. This was a calculated, intelligent malevolence. The world had been saved from one monster, only to be handed over to a far more terrifying monster it had created, cheered for, and loved. The devil they now faced knew their every hope, their every fear, because it once shared them, triumphant and terrible. Their creation stood over the world they had once fought to protect, a chilling monument to the idea that the road to hell is paved with good intentions. The world once again plunged into darkness, was left to wonder, is it better to be saved by a devil, or to perish waiting for a hero who will never come? Thank you for watching. If this story resonated with you, consider subscribing for more content that explores the shadows.